Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the number 2, perhaps now he's the number 1, Kurobot is back at it again with another video regarding Wuthering Waves 2.4 and, of course, Septimont. And the takeover here is that Wuthering Waves 2.4 feels like an apology. I think that this is a really interesting take to have, right? Especially considering the amount of backlash and disappointed individuals and, let's be honest here, astroturfers that spread a lot of negativity regarding the anniversary. I think that there are a fair number of valid complaints, but overall, right, that was sort of like the dominating feel regarding the last couple of weeks about the game. And with 2.4's live stream, the announcements, all of the new features, the new characters, the new region, the new events, the new endgames, I think it's really been nothing but roses and flowers and sunshine for this game, because people are kind of just waiting for 2.4 at this point, and I don't really think that there is very much, if any, negativity at all. It's kind of just all completely evaporated and disappeared. And so with that, maybe that's what this video is going to be about. You've already kind of heard my initial take and opinion on it. Let's go ahead and see what Glaze is.
There's this strange phenomenon in live service games where you sort of kind of forget what normal looks like. Not because the genre is evolving too fast, but because it is usually regressing in slow motion. You get
like, every Hoyover's title. We still clearly have to wait until, like, the final part of ZZZ 2.0 to make the final take on that. But yeah, it's 100% certain Genshin made a regression during Natlan after advancements in Fontaine. ZZZ definitely made regressions from 1.5 to 1.7 after the resurgence it had in 1.4. And Honkai Star Rail has been regressing ever since version 2.0 or version 2.6 easily. So yeah, a lot of regression is kind of like been the Hoyo meta, and I think it's pretty much proven that it's happened in all 3 of the games, 100%.
get drip-fed rewards that feel like scrapes of WD-40 in the bottom of the barrel. You get events that is literally glorified login events, and after a while, just seeing a functioning UI feels like a luxury. So when something actually good happens, like genuinely, thoughtfully constructed content, it doesn't just stand out, it feels like a glitch in the matrix. Because you're not supposed to be rewarded for sticking around. You're supposed to be grateful they didn't pull the plug. You stingy begging drama farmer, how dare you criticize my multi-million-dollar company? Now,
I guess the funny thing is, when it comes to the anniversary, was people say that I was like on my knees, like fucking defending, like playing fucking Pantheon, blocking every single hit. I don't even think I did that much, to be honest. If I'm being entirely honest, yeah, I don't really think I even said that much about the anniversary. Bottom text? Wait a sec. How dare you? Bottom... Okay, this fucking guy.
$1 million company. Now imagine that happens in Wuthering Waves, a game.
You were those events? Yeah, so what I said about the events was, yeah, the events were fun. I enjoyed them. I like the cube battle event. Yeah, I think Dreaming Deep is pretty okay. Dreaming Deep is okay and needs some quality of life buffs. That's me defending everything about the anniversary. Clearly, a good portion of those takes are from people that have a disability, so I won't take them very seriously.
That has basically been speedrunning the entire life cycle of a gacha title since launch. First, it kinda collapses, and then claws its way back. And now, somehow, it has dropped what might actually be the best patch ever. Not because of free polls, because it's only 10 polls. Not because of hype trailers or one broken unit either. What the fuck? Even though it is pretty hype, but because for the first time, everything feels like it's finally working. 2.4 isn't just a patch, it is like Kuro Games took a step back, looked at what they built, and went, okay, now let's actually design a game. And what we got out of that might just be the real anniversary update. Because let's be honest, those mid rewards in 2.3 were not fooling anyone. Let's dive into it.
Okay, let's be honest here, Glaive buddy boy. The rewards... The general take of the anniversary patch is the rewards were fine. The patch itself was dry and they wanted more content in it. That is pretty much, I would say, the general take right now. I don't think a lot of people think that like the overall rewards were like bad, because I feel like a lot of people got what they wanted out of this patch in terms of characters and weapons. If you played across the entire, I think a lot of people got what they wanted from the banners. I'm not even lying. I really think they did. So rewards wise, I don't think it was a bad thing, but in terms of like story progression, all of that, the patch was a filler with some permanent game modes added in. And the permanent game modes, right? didn't land in the way that they could have due to some problems with the execution.
You know, the funny thing about Wuthering Waves 2.3 is that it technically was the anniversary patch. I mean, they labeled it as such.
But to be fair, right, you could say that the patch being a little bit dry and a little bit light on content was because they were basically working on another 2.0. Because as far as I'm concerned, with everything that we're seeing in version 2.4, Septimont, all of that stuff, it's essentially almost like a whole goddamn 2.0. In terms of like the amount of new regions that we have, all of the new things that are coming in. Oh yeah, we did have the Chakota quest. The Chakota quest was really short though, to be fair. It was really short. Yeah, we had all this stuff coming in for 2.4, and it's a gigantic fucking patch with so much stuff. If anything, I'm surprised that the live stream for 2.4 was like so short with everything that they had going on with it. I actually expected it to be like an hour plus because of just how much stuff they were putting in.
Put the bow on the box and went through the motions, but if you were actually playing it, you probably felt it too. There wasn't much of a celebration to be found. It didn't feel like a milestone, it felt like filler. And a lot of people just accepted it. Yeah, it's a filler patch with an anniversary label on it. It is not broken or offensive, it is just like empty. And when you're dealing with the first anniversary of a live service game, that is kinda wild. This was supposed to be the moment you flex everything you have built, reward the players who stuck it out, maybe even win back the ones who dipped. Instead, it was like pretty forgettable, to be honest. 2.3 didn't just miss the mark, it didn't aim at anything. And then 2.4 shows up and just body checks the entire conversation. Players looked around and went, oh, this is what an anniversary update is supposed to feel like. If you look at the reactions for the live streams, for all of the content creators, I think you would hear that a lot. This is the real anniversary update or something like that. 2.4 doesn't say it's an anniversary patch, but it feels like one. Louder, riskier, more alive. It doesn't care about a label, it cares about impact. The patch—
I guess this is the thing. They maybe just didn't have 2.4 ready in time. Or they felt the need to introduce or like finish up the story in Renacida with like the whole Zani Chakota thing. And it just didn't fall into the schedule. Because imagine if 2.4 dropped now with Cartithia and Chakota. When would we have had Zani and that whole thing happening? They could have pushed everything forward, right? Had Zani or Chakona in version 2.2, because Cantarella was the only unit. Had Zani and Chakona over there, right? But then you would have had 3 new units in one patch, and that's just too much, brother. That's honestly just too much to have in one patch. 3 new fucking units. And so they had released 2 in 2.0, 2 in 2.1, 1 in 2.2, 2 in 2.3, and now it's 2 in 2.4. Yeah, I mean, they could have gone the super predatory route, but I think just like schedule-wise, I feel like it just wouldn't have happened.
Gacha has momentum, real momentum. It is not just content for the sake of content. You can feel the dev team stretching out, trying things out, playing with mechanical variety, introducing real permanent systems. It is not throwing out at the wall anymore. It is layering things together. And you can feel the shift. There is ambition here. The scope is bigger, but more importantly, it is smarter. It respects the player base's time and attention span. This isn't just new content to binge, it is a long-term structure to live in. Honestly, it is wild how fast the conversation changed. People went from, LMAO, this game is done, huh, wait for the EOS, to, oh my god, the devs are cooking, the devs listened!
I mean, if anyone's saying that the game was gonna EOS because they didn't like the anniversary that much, I mean, you probably were gonna quit the game anyways. Let's be real. If you're gonna quit a game because of rewards, you probably just weren't that invested in it anyways. You were kind of just there to get free stuff, which is like, at that point, you're not really playing the game for the game.
When 2.0 dropped, the Renacita update, right? That was when Wuthering Waves crawled out of the grave. That was CPR. But 2.4, this is like an evolution. It is not saving the game, it is building on a stable core with confidence. This is Wuthering Waves stepping into its own skin. And what they have managed to do here, it is impressive. This patch isn't just about scale, it is about intent. They're not just adding more stuff, they're exploring how deep this game can actually go. This is the first time I looked at a gacha game and thought, I don't know where the ceiling is anymore.
I made this take on the legitimate day of the anniversary, or sorry, not the day of the anniversary, the day of the update. I think 2.4 is actually going to be better than 2.0. A lot of people think that that's potentially a hot take, but I do think a lot of people agree with it. 2.4 to me looks like it's going to take all of the existing systems, add more variety. It's adding an entire new endgame mode, multiple new permanent modes, has multiple new regions, probably is going to have a bunch of like new exciting mechanics. It just straight up, I think it's just going to be better. It's also got 2 new characters who, I'm going to be honest here, Lupa, if I'm going to judge 2.0 as a patch, I got to think about who was on the second half banner. I think Rosia's kind of like fucking like not that exciting of a unit, bro. I feel like Rosia's one of the most boring units in the game. I'm going to be honest. Lupa as a character just seems higher quality, both gameplay wise, visually, all of that, story implementation. Lupa just seems like a much better character in pretty much every single way. And so if I'm thinking about it from like character wise, right? Yeah, Cartithia probably better, or at least comparable to Carlotta. Comparable to, and at its best, she's way better. And then Lupa's way better than Rosia. So the characters are better. They're adding like an equivalent number of new regions. They have way more permanent game modes. They're adding a new endgame as well with Virtual Crisis coming back. The TCG actually looks fun because it's like TFT. Guys, think about all of the stuff that's actually coming in 2.4. As I start listing out all of these things, you're starting to realize, wow, it actually has probably more features than 2.0 did. In terms of new additions. Straight up, I do think it's gonna be better.
Not just for this game, but for like the entire genre. 2.4 doesn't feel like a comeback. It feels like a beginning, like a real one. And now Septimont doesn't just feel like a new region. It feels like they actually tried. You see it and then immediately there is like that sense.
Bro, look at the scale of this place. This is the main city. This is like twice as big as Raguna City. Look at this shit. Look at like the view distance. That's fucking massive, bro. This place is huge. This is like probably at least 3 to 4 times the size of Raguna City.
Sense of scale that most gacha maps.
Bro. Look at it. It's got like 3 fucking layers. It looks like the fucking Attack on Titan main city. Got like the 3 walls and shit. Legitimately, it might be 5 or 6 times the size of Raguna City, if we're frankly being honest.
Don't hit. The terrain looks like it has depth. The biomes are kind of distinct. It is thematically cohesive and that kind of like...
That's the size of a person, bro. Right there. You see that at the bottom? That's what like the playable character model is like.
Like, we thought this through kind of way. And honestly, it is giving more Natlan than Natlan right now. And that is saying something, considering one of these games hasn't even shown us the region yet. But what actually makes Septimont interesting isn't just that it's so big. It feels like it's lived in. There is a clear effort to continue the echo-human relationship arc, but it's getting like weirder now, like morally gray. You can tell the writers are leaning into the creep factor a bit more, and it works. It doesn't just feel like surface level anymore. There's like weight to it. You've also got subzones that aren't just
True. I think in terms of like the creep factor, bro, I gotta show y'all something. Like the theory that I had, brother. There's an actual like fucking creep factor to the new region, like a little bit of like horror, because all you have to do is just like look at the new like pilgrim shell like fucking units and shit like that, bro. They're freaky. They're freaky as hell. Here we go. These motherfuckers, bro. Not the drakes. The drakes are whatever. These dudes, the devotee's flesh and the pilgrim shell. Bro, what is this, man? What are these fucking eldritch abominations, bro? These literally look like the people that went on like the pilgrim sail and then like crash landed in Septimont. That's what it seems like. Fucking crash landed in Septimont and then turned into these freaks. This is probably gonna be a playable character's parent. One of these is probably gonna be like a playable character's like fucking parent or some shit, bro. I swear to God, that would be so fucked up. That would be so fucked up if that happened, but I do think, like, they're gonna get into, like, some of that in, like, the story quests. Or maybe the NPC, the side quests, that sort of stuff.
Aren't just checklist fodder. Some have layered verticality, others hint at more puzzle mechanics tied to echo abilities. There is a synergy starting to form between gameplay and environment that honestly wasn't there in the earlier patches. And then there is the public bath, which on paper sounds like a gimmick, but it is the kind of weird little world building flourish that makes the place feel real. Like
okay, this is whatever, bro.
Someone asks, what do people...
If you use this, you use this. I will judge you, but it is what it is.
do here when they're not fighting corrupted monsters? And they actually answered it. It is subtle, but it signals a shift. They are not just building maps anymore, they're building places. I don't even know what that means, but like, hell yeah. Events have always been the awkward middle child of a live service games, right? But most of the time, they are temporary, forgettable, and feel like the devs are just buying time for the next patch. But 2.4's approach is different. And for once, it is not just rotating side
Why would you judge people? Why would I not?
content, it is an infrastructure. You've got new area capture mode with actual boss encounters baked into it. Not a gimmick boss either, a legitimate threat. And because it is permanent,
Guys, it's taking no damage. This mode actually looks like it has the potential to be extremely hard. It's permanent as well, and as you can see from the HP bar, it is literally taking no damage.
it finally feels like we're stacking systems instead of resetting every few weeks. And then there is a challenge content, a 3v1 boss fight. Twin bosses with all of the training wheels taken off. This is the kind of stuff veteran players have been asking for since launch. It is not artificially hard. It is not like HP inflation. It is just tuned for players who understand the game now. You're not being punished, you are being tested. Virtual Crisis V2 is still a work in progress. There is no co-op yet, which kind of sucks, but the structure is solid. There is double bosses, time clears, and scaling rewards, but you can see the bones of something expandable here. They are laying the groundwork for real long-term mode. So yeah, these aren't just like events anymore, they are prototypes. And if Kuro keeps rotating on them, we might actually see some of these turn into permanent pillars for the game, which would
Okay, what is this Camellia even fucking doing, bro? What? Who? Who fucking wears this, bro? They're crazy.
be a first, not just for WUA, but for most gacha games. We are getting fresh Echoes monsters, which okay, cool, you know, more things to fight, but the real meat here is the new
I would say when it comes to the endgame modes, yeah, they've got that super difficult looking challenge one where you can have, you know, all the different modifiers and stuff, and then they have a similar modifier system in Virtual Crisis. And I think the really great thing that Kuro's doing over here is like letting players choose their own difficulty, ensuring that the game is accessible to both casual players as well as those that want to get super sweaty with it. And it's a level of like optionality and just like good design that so many other devs just don't feel like doing. Yeah, I don't know if they're too lazy to put it in, but it just doesn't happen very often. And like the thing is, in this game, you'll be able to get like the full rewards, get all of the accomplishments, do everything that you want in terms of like, you know, getting Astrite, while not even challenging it at the highest difficulty. And then all you get the highest difficulty, right, are like those nice little cute little titles.
Echo sets like the Sonata sets. One for Cartithia, which by the way, you could slap onto Chacona for some spicy synergy. And
do not do this. Glaive is spreading some, Glaive is being dumb right now. Do not put Windward Pilgrimage on Chacona. Do not do it. The only situation where you should put Windward Pilgrimage on Chacona is if she's like a main DPS. That's it. Otherwise, do not do this.
And another one tailored for Lupa. When I first saw this, I'll be honest, my gut reaction was, ah, great, another grind. Time to
Glaive is not a guide maker. Glaive is not a guide maker, guys.
farm Echoes again. Oh, nice. But then I actually thought about it, and it isn't just a mindless slog. This is launching alongside the new region expansion, and that changes everything, gamers. You are roaming through this brand new area, taking in the sights, cracking open chests, puzzling out those environmental riddles the devs love to sprinkle in, and while you're doing all that, you're naturally farming these new Echoes. It is not like you're stuck in some repetitive loop, spamming the same boss for drops. Well, let's be real, we are gonna be doing that, but
they made the bot. Did they add that in 2.3, updating the boss drops, or was that in 2.2? I forget which update they made the cooldown of the bosses like literally 0. It's like 3 seconds. It was in the anniversary. Oh shit, yeah. Hey, maybe. Hey, fuck it. Hey, that's the best anniversary in gacha gaming. Fucking saving me costs on forecast saving me time on forecast farming, brother.
you're also exploring. You are
and the modifiers too. Yeah, I mean, guys, all I'm saying is that 2.3 had a lot of good stuff in it. I think the main thing is that people that played this game like a job, and played this game for like 5, 6, 7 hours a day were the ones that were like, they were saying dumb shit. Like, these modifiers aren't that good. Yeah, that was like a self-report that you literally were playing this game too much. You like legitimately brain rotted at that point. Anyone who said modifiers aren't good, legitimately a self-report that they were playing too much. Like, you need to go do something else.
Also progressing, you are getting rewarded. It is all woven together. And that is the kind of design that I can respect.
Hey, I think that's the take. Yeah, if you said modifiers aren't good, you need other hobbies.
Respects your time, which, let's be real, isn't always a given in games like this. I'm actually itching to dive into this on stream. The new regions got that fresh map smell, and I want to unpack every corner of it live. Chess, puzzles, echoes, all of it, bro. So if you're into that, I'll be doing it on Twitch and YouTube. So swing by my Twitch account and hit that follow. Or if you're more of a notify me type, join the Discord server. The link is in the description.
Bro, I thought it was ending the video.
And I'll drop a heads up there when I'm going live. You ever see a character in the trip marketing and just go, eh? That was basically Cartithia and Lupa. The designs were fine, you know, clean, safe. Nothing about the promos really screamed must pull. But then they dropped. And yeah, then completely different story. Cartithia's animation have this like impact. Like it's like boom, you know, like 5 big booms from Mr. Pokey. And then Lupa, the mid-air attacks make her feel like a human blender. And
yeah, I think both of these two kits are probably some of the best ones that we've ever seen from like a visual perspective. This is what I literally meant when I was talking before about like the characters just being better than what was in 2.0. Comparing Cartithia to Carlotta, the animations are just like absolutely a different level, right? Absolutely a different level. And then Lupa compared to Rosia, brother, it's not even close to a competition. Rosia looks like a pile of dog shit compared to this unit. She's got at least like 7, 8, 9 different air attacks and like animations. Rosia just bounces up and down. Straight up, she's so boring, it's crazy. I think Rosia actually is the worst designed unit we might have in the game. I'm going to be honest. I mean this genuinely. I think she might be the worst designed unit in the game, visually. She's like so stale and has like 6 attacks. I think she has less unique animations than a 4-star. Genuinely. She's definitely the worst design limited unit in the game.
Doesn't just look cool, it feels good. Like there is an actual tactile rhythm to her kit that rewards timing, not just button mashing, even though you're probably gonna be button mashing. It is one of those things where
wait, how does bro know that? Leakers? What, she has a timing based mechanic? I didn't know that. The fuck?
Gameplay carries the appeal harder than the marketing ever could. And it says a lot about Kuro's animation team.
She has more than Gian. Guys, Rosia has her normal attack chain, her heavy attack, which launches her in the air, a tornado, and then a plunge attack, and an ultimate. She actually has like less than 10 unique animations in her kit. She just uses the same plunge attack 3 times. And then her regular plunge attack is just her special plunge attack without the particle effects. Gian has at least 3 unique animations on his liberation alone. Like, he has the 3 different moves that he does. Straight up, yeah, the 1.0 unit has more animations than Rosia. Yeah, no, that character is actually bad, bro.
They're not just animating flashy effects, they're building personalities through combat. And that fleur-de-lis transformation sequence, you can tell someone on the dev team is an animator first and Gacha dev second. And this keeps happening. Characters you're
not with Rosia, though.
On the fence about end up winning you over, not through their lore or splash art, but through how they move, how they play, how they present themselves in game. Wuthering Waves might not have the best gacha economy, it might not have the most hype marketing, but it might just have the best real-time character presentation in the genre. It is hard to go back into stiff animations and canned combat after this. But here's where things get a little weird. The patch introduced premium skins. Pretty nice too, in my opinion. But here is the problem. There is no reruns. If you don't already own the character, the skin means nothing. It is like putting a car commercial in front.
And I think this is something that Glaive and I universally agree on. I don't care that Carlotta and Chang Li are technically on banner right now for the anniversary patch. Just rerun them again when their skins are live. Who cares? Just rerun them again when their skins are live. Because somebody's probably just going to log into the game. They're gonna start the game in 2.4. They're gonna look at the skins and be like, oh my gosh, this is so fucking amazing. I want this skin and I want to use it now. What does a new player do? Just go fuck themselves? Like, let's just say a fucking Saudi executive, right? Big oil. He's ready to spend about $5,000 on the game just to play it for 30 minutes on a Sunday. He logs in, he sees these 2 smoking babes in the shop, and he can't even buy the skins and use them. It's just such a dumb decision. Like, it's such a dumb decision not to rerun the characters while their skins are up. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it.
In front of someone who doesn't have a driver's license. And that is not just an oversight, that is actively frustrating. These skins are time limited, discounted, but there is zero way to get the character if you missed them before. No banner overlap, no rerun schedule, no roadmap hinting that they are coming soon. It just feels like backwards. If this is a communication delay, fine, just say something, you know? But if the plan really was to sell cosmetics for characters people can't even access, that is a rare tone-deaf move from a—
I genuinely hope, this might be copium, I genuinely hope that Kuro's just waiting for, like, the banners to, like, run out, because they don't maybe want to announce that Carlotta and Shangli are rerunning while they're already still live. Maybe that's what they'll do, and then they'll announce it afterwards when it gets closer to the patch.
A team that usually feels pretty in sync with its audience, especially in a patch that is otherwise firing on all cylinders. It sticks out more, like one little piece of the puzzle that is either forgotten or rushed out the door. Whatever the reason, right? They've got a limited
We still have a week, true.
window to fix before the goodwill they built starts leaking. And then we're also getting 2 main story acts staggered across the patch. That sounds promising on paper, but the real question is, are they actually dense or just long? This is where I think Wuthering Waves really has something to prove. 2.0 set a solid precedent. Rime-Draped wasn't just a flashy comeback story, it was paced like an actual narrative arc. It didn't waste your time, it had momentum, a rising thread, decent character work, and by the end of it, it felt like something had mattered. That was the bar. And then 2.2 overlapped it, like Captain America being on your right for 3 times in a row. So if 2.4 can keep that same energy, tight character moments, focused writing, actual payoffs, it doesn't just mean they have improved, it means they have stabilized. That Wuthering Waves isn't just a combat sandbox with cutscenes, but a story-driven gacha in a genre that rarely earns that title. And if
I think the main thing that I'm looking forward to in 2.4 is I would actually like some pretty long story quests. But I don't want them to be long just for the sake of being long, like the dog shit game that you're seeing right above my head right now. Yeah, that's what it's like to have a story where the only intent is to just drag it out for as long as fucking possible, so that the writer involved can just keep stroking his fucking ego with every single word that he fucking puts into the script. I want it to be long in that every single bit is like meaningful, fun, enjoyable, like how 2.0 was. The only part about 2.0 that was like a little bit lacking potentially was like a short segment in like the with the Fool's Troop where you have to talk to this old man, and that was like actual helpful fucking lore building where we learn about the laureate and like what the laureate means to the region. And after seeing how often being a laureate is represented in the future story quests, I can see why they spent a little bit of extra time fleshing it out. Because we're constantly referred to as the laureate in every quest moving forward. And we're probably gonna be able to like get into Septimont because we're like, oh, we heard you won the laureate in Raguna. So yeah, it was just one little bit with the old man that lasted like 20 minutes. And that's the worst part people can say about the quest. But otherwise, 6 to 7 hours of straight up cinema.
if they use this patch to tie off the remaining threads from Rime-Draped, it might quietly become one of the best narratives happening in a live service game right now. Not loud, not bombastic, just consistent.
I think Rime-Draped as a whole, 2.0, 2.2, it has already exceeded in 2 patches what Genshin's been able to provide in like ever. Already exceeded Honkai Star Rail as well. In literally about 7 to 10 hours of story, they've already outdone Genshin Impact and HSR without a fucking doubt. In the duration of one HSR story quest, they've had better story than 48 hours of HSR story quests. Or sorry, 34 hours.
Serialized world building, which in this space is rarer than it should be. And you can tell when a dev team starts thinking long term, because they stop throwing systems away. Kelpie's tactical hologram is the perfect example. Not just a new boss, it is another deliberate notch in a system that used to feel like one-off experiment. There was a point where holograms felt like limited time flex content, and now they're almost a core feature. Every major patch has one, and more importantly, they are worth doing. Same goes for Virtual Crises. The updated version still doesn't have the co-op support, which is kind of a miss, but the shift to the mechanics that build your build knowledge means they're investing in it. This is
Well, there is co-op in Virtual Crisis. It's just the bosses are fighting co-op against you. Yeah, the bosses are co-oping. Yeah, stop spreading misinformation, Glavy boy.
Is not an event filler anymore. This is the scaffolding for something bigger. And then there is the ecosystem, which if we're being honest, has always felt a little bit underbaked. But now they are pivoting. The mini game concept with the echoes treated more like companions than stack sticks, that is them finally acting on the Pokemon style potential people saw on day one. It is still early, but if that layer becomes fully playable, the replayable system, that is a massive leap in retention value.
This game mode actually looks like it's going to be fun. From what we've seen, from the gameplay footage that's been available, it actually looks like it's going to be fun and not a complete slog like the fucking Genshin one is. You want to know what the best part about this game mode probably is the fact that you don't actually have to play a lot of it. The fact that you have to do like so many interactions, press so many buttons, drag all of this shit in like the fucking Genshin TCG is just like, bro, it's like I'm like, it feels like way too like tedious of a game mode to play. The fact that this one just looks like I just slap down some cards and then watch my echoes fucking fight, that just seems chill, bro. I have like maybe I have like 30 seconds of inputs that I need to do, and then I get to just watch echoes fight for like a minute and a half or something like that. That seems like a really good blend, especially when you consider how much stuff you have to do in Wuwa when it comes to like inputs. Genshin TCG is like, Genshin, you have to do a lot of inputs in the gameplay. TCG, you have to do a fuck ton of inputs in the gameplay. This game mode seems like a good break, right? In an actual, like, meaningful way, a good break from the traditional gameplay loop of Wuwa that could, like, keep people refreshed with the overall experience.
They're not just making new content, they are circling back and reinforcing old content, making sure it doesn't rot in the corner like some post-launch gimmick. It is not flashy, but it is the kind of back-end maintenance that turns a good gacha into one that lasts. And then there is the stuff that no one really talks about, but everyone feels. The focus mode. The focus mode for story cutscenes might not seem like a big deal, but it changes the whole flow. No more system pop-ups, no more sudden UI clutter, just you, the dialogue, and the scene. It is the kind of adjustment that doesn't ask for attention but earns respect. But we gotta see more in game, right?
Okay, to be fair though, Genshin has had this for a while. And I don't think Wuwa had enough like quests, had enough like stuff going on in like the background for it to like start being an issue. But there was one situation where I had with Phoebe where she was needed for like one exploration quest in 2.1 and then also needed for the fishing quest. And that's like, I feel like the only time where I ran into the issue. And they did fix it relatively fast. Yeah, I think it only started occurring in 2.1 and then they fixed it in 2.4. I think that's it. But they did a good job of avoiding it as a problem prior.
Same goes with the new in-game build guides. Finally, they're pulling data and recommendations from actual
I'm homeless after this patch.
creators instead of slapping together a generic "this weapon is fine." It is a small nod, but a smart one. It gives new players direction without watering down the freedom to experiment, and it quietly bridges the gap between the game and the community, which is rare. And yeah, stuff like improved water physics, dynamic filters, better lighting in certain areas. It is not headline material. You're not going to sell a banner on water reflections, but that is exactly what
Hey, depending on the character's particle effects, I might be more willing to pull them. Guys, think about it this way. You remember how I was just talking shit about Rosia? What do you think Rosia's tornado is going to do to these leaves? Like, she might actually, like, pick them up and, like, carry them inside of her tornado? What do you think Gion's dragon is gonna do to these leaves?
what makes it important. These are the invisible wins, the quality of life upgrades that stack up over time, until one day you realize that the game just feels better and you don't even notice why. So yeah, Wuthering Waves 2.4 isn't just a good patch, it is a proof of concept. This is the version of the game we hoped for when 2.3 dropped. It is not perfect, but it shows that Kuro Games is finally aligning their ambition with execution, that they are learning to build systems, not just seasonal distractions, that they are serious about making something sustainable, not
I think everybody pretty much has universally had the take that they think that if this was the anniversary patch, they probably could have given out like a 10 pull and like people would have been fine. Like, if the total rewards were like a 10 pull, but this was the like 2.4 was actually the anniversary patch, yeah, I feel like people would have been people would have had a more positive reaction to it than what we actually got. That's the general take on it. But, you know, kind of like looking at both these patches as a whole, yeah, maybe you just think about it as a 2-part anniversary, because the amount of content that we're getting in 2.4, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a similar number of pulls overall to what we had in version 2.0, which was like 160 something. I think that this patch is gonna have like 160 something easily, because there just seems to be way too much stuff for it not to have that much. This might be some of the most events, the most permanent additions, like the TCG, TFT, the sort of thing is gonna have some stuff too. Yeah, it's going to be fucking nuts.
Not just splashy. You look at how exploration works there, how the character kits are presented, how even the events are structured, and for the first time, it all feels like a part of the same design language. Like the devs finally stopped reacting and started directing. If they can keep this pace up, and that is still an if, right?
I mean, I guess the whole like stop reacting, start developing, that sort of stuff. I mean, this would make sense if we had like 2 bad patches in a row. But like this is immediately following afterwards. I think that it is like a bit of like a slight overreaction to say that, like, you know, that like this is them coming. I mean, there's no way that they regardless of the anniversary's reception, 2.4 was going to come after 2.3. There's not enough time over the course of a 40-day patch to make like crazy adjustments to like what they're gonna be putting in 2.4. And I think really just the main overall take from my end is kind of just, and probably a majority of players' end, is that like 2.3 was like a less content patch, was more filler, because they just had a fuck ton of stuff ready for 2.4. And it takes longer to develop things and patches that have more stuff in it. And so 2.3 didn't have that much content relative to 2.4. I really think that's it. And thankfully, that lack of like new area, whole situation we had going on in 2.3, they put that dev work to good use. They put it into some really good use and are delivering, again, what I consider is probably going to be the best patch in the history of the game, and I'm very excited for it. So yeah, I think that'll be that for this one. I do think that 2.4, once again, we've already made a couple of videos on it. I do think it's going to be the best one in the history of the game. If anything, if it's not the best overall one, I think it's going to be 2nd or 3rd place easily. Probably 2nd. But we'll just have to see. We're gonna have to obviously, right, take the whole patch. We probably won't be able to make the final call on that until the second half, because the story is actually coming out in 2 parts, which I think is a good move on their end as well. That's my overall take on this 2.4, all the stuff ahead. Very, very, very excited. Let me know what you all think. Peace.